here today has only reinforced for me just at what the heart it is that you're doing here throughout your work, and that is family.
This week, Kate and Harry both gave speeches.
You are providing those much-needed footsteps for others to follow, whether you know it or not.
Prince Andrew gave an interview.
We try and uphold the highest standards and practices, and I let the side down. Simple as that.
And the Crown gave us a brand new queen.
I think I speak for everyone here when I say none of us will be able to trust or look at anything in the same way ever again.
Welcome to the Royal Report. I'm your host, Sharon Carpenter, and this is my fuzzy friend, Lady Breadloaf. How you doing, girl? Rough day, huh? Yeah, I get it. Back with us on the couch is People's senior news editor, Erin Hill. Great to see you as always, Erin. So much to delve into. Yes. But first, the Royal Week in Review. On Friday, Kate Middleton travelled to Norfolk to open a children's hospice called the Nook. The new centre is part of East Anglia's Children's Hospices, also known as EACH, an organisation that Kate has supported since 2012. On Saturday, the BBC aired an exclusive interview with Prince Andrew, where for the first time, the Duke of York opened up about his links to disgraced financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. 4 days later, the Prince announced that he would be stepping back from public duties. More on this story later. On Sunday, Royal Watchers rejoiced as Season 3 of The Crown was released on Netflix. Oh yeah, we'll be talking a lot more about that later in the show. That same day, Prince Harry helped honour outstanding young people at the inaugural On-Side Awards in London. Excited about that one, aren't you? The event was a celebration of youths who have made a difference in their communities, have a breakthrough talent, or have overcome challenging circumstances. What a great cause. On Monday, Prince William and Kate enjoyed a rare date night at the annual Royal Variety performance in London. The money raised from the event will help hundreds of entertainers across the UK who need assistance as a result of old age, ill health, or hard times. Wednesday marked 72 years of wedded bliss for the Queen and Prince Philip. Happy anniversary from everyone here at the Royal Report. And finally, yesterday, People magazine released a cover story discussing the strained relationship between Will and Kate and Harry and Meghan. As luck would have it, we happen to have the journalist behind the cover story here with us right now, none other than Erin Hill, of course. Yes. Erin, let's delve right into this one. Yeah. Now, the headline here is a family divided. Just how divided is this family right now?
Yeah, multiple insiders are telling us that the chill between the couples runs deeper than many outsiders have even realized. And that Meghan and Harry are feeling isolated right now from the royal family, and that there's just a lot at play right now as the couples move in very different directions.
So we know they're divided. How did this all start? It was a while back. Couple of years. It
was. A lot of it sort of originated when Meghan first came on the scene. And, you know, we're told by sources that William cautioned Harry about moving too quickly with Meghan, and that left Harry very hurt. So there's some unresolved issues there. Not to mention the fact that their roles are really just increasingly moving in different directions as William and Kate prepare to become king and queen, and Meghan and Harry still kind of figure out where they want their roles to go.
Now, I found it very fascinating. You talked in the story about how Will and Harry had their own sort of personal mediator, if you will, when they had their brotherly issues in the form of the Queen's longtime private secretary, Christopher Geit.
Yeah.
He left in 2017 and basically left them to work out their differences between themselves. How has that worked out?
Yeah, so he has really been responsible over the years for helping smooth over a lot of grievances between the different offices within the palace, and specifically for William and Harry to work around any issues they may have had with Charles, because they are said to have a complex relationship with him.
Yes.
So he was really responsible for kind of smoothing things over, keeping things at bay, managing any issues. So with the absence of him, that kind of leaves no one really mediating between the brothers.
Yeah, which obviously doesn't seem like a good thing. You also delve into the dynamic between Kate and Meghan, how they come from different backgrounds, how they also came into the royal family in very different ways. How has that affected the relationship between the two of them?
Well, it really just goes to show how different their roles are. And we're being told that there's no competition between the two of them. In fact, Meghan is very well aware that Kate will be queen. Their roles are so clear. But the commonality between the two of them really lacking. They couldn't be more different. You know, Meghan doesn't quite fit the mold, whereas Kate was groomed for this. Meghan came into this role as a fully formed person, having her own career and being established.
And older.
Right, and older. And Kate, you know, she met William when they were students at college, so she kind of came into the role as she was growing into herself as a person. So learning the ropes as a royal person as she, you know, throughout the very, you know, her 20s, where she's kind of coming into herself.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Now, reading your article, I really got the sense that this is so relatable to so many people, so many siblings. You know, when you're younger, you might be tight, but as life sort of takes over, you get married, you have kids, you have your own responsibilities, then it can be a different situation. I'm sure that bonding as teenagers, the two brothers, you know, that was a lot easier than now as two separate married couples. Is that correct?
Absolutely, and this is, you know, a natural progression. I think so many people can relate to when one of your siblings gets married, suddenly there is a shift in the dynamic. There are different things at play, different priorities, different focuses. So it's really relatable, and when you think about it, it makes sense, and so many people can understand why they may be moving in these different directions.
Yeah, so quite normal. So how do you see the future playing out for the two couples now that the cat's basically out of the bag? Everyone knows there's this rift now.
Well, as the Queen starts handing off more and more of her roles to Charles, William will then slide into place behind him eventually as the Prince of Wales. And then Kate and William will really start going full gear into preparing for their roles as King and Queen. So that's going to set them apart from Meghan and Harry as they kind of figure out where they want to go within their royal work. Will they want to set up a second base outside of the UK? Perhaps they've hinted at that. They will still, you know, have a few causes that they'll share that will unite them. Mental health awareness, of course, is one of them. William and Harry will continue to just work on behalf of their mother's legacy with their work for HIV awareness and homelessness and landmines.
Right,
so we're going to see unity there, but then also really distinct roles.
And is it true there have been no text messages or calls between the couples either?
This has really kind of come about after the revealing documentary that Meghan and Harry gave during their tour in Africa, if you remember, and they sort of gave a glimpse into some of the private pain they've been experiencing and feelings of isolation within the royal family. I mean, Meghan even said herself, no one's asking if I'm okay. And we're being told by insiders that not much has changed since this documentary. I mean, eyes are open, but there hasn't really been a complete 180. No one's talking, reaching out, texting. So there's still that feeling of isolation.
Wow, interesting. Well, I know you need to get back to the newsroom. As always, great reporting. Thank you so much for the inside scoop.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, we need to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll be serving up some piping hot tea with Michelle Tauber. Welcome back to the Royal Report. I hope you're all properly steeped because it's tea time with Michelle Tauber. Hi, Michelle, how are you?
Hi, Sharon. I'm very well. Thank you.
Great to see you. Senior Royals editor, Michelle Tauber. So happy you're here to help us unpack last Saturday's interview with Prince Andrew. This was an hour-long, no-holds-barred sit-down with BBC Newsnight anchor Emily Maitlis. It took place in the Blue Drawing Room at Buckingham Palace with what we understand was the approval of the Queen. This was, of course, the first time the 59-year-old Prince has spoken about his relationship with disgraced financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Here's a look at what he said about that relationship.
It would be, to some extent, a stretch to say that as it were, we were close friends. I mean, we were friends because of other people. But I didn't have much time with him.
Now, Michelle, first off, why do you think Prince Andrew wanted to do this interview in the first place? And what do you make of his explanation right there of his relationship with Epstein?
Andrew had largely maintained his silence on the Epstein scandal for years. And the pressure had been mounting in the wake of the death of Jeffrey Epstein back in August for Andrew to address what was certainly the elephant in the room for him. And he decided that now was the time to do so.
Yeah, a lot of people were actually surprised that he decided to do this and face the press, the BBC. But what did you think of his explanation of his relationship with Epstein?
So he explained that, he had met Epstein in 1991 through Epstein's then girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. And he said, it would be a stretch to say we were friends, but we were friendly, is sort of how he put it. We didn't have a lot of time to talk, he said. I think that from the outset of this interview, the way it was perceived by many people is that it felt as though he were downplaying quite a bit.
Prince Andrew also denied ever meeting Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who, by the way, made People magazine's annual list of women changing the world, and who has alleged that she was forced to have sex with the prince 3 times between 1999 and 2002 in London, New York, and on a private Caribbean island owned by Epstein when she was 17 years old. Here's a clip of that denial.
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No, didn't happen.
Do you remember her?
No. I have no recollection of ever meeting her.
Michelle, what do you think about his denial? Are we buying it?
I think that, what he's saying is at odds with some of the evidence. I know we're going to talk about the photo that's sort of been haunting Andrew for years.
Yes.
And also Virginia's own allegations, which she has been unwavering in. She has maintained throughout, since first coming forward as one of Epstein's victims, that these incidents, these assaults did indeed occur. And so, he I think, again, the fact here that he downplayed and denied ever even meeting her when there is sort of, there's some visual proof that that is not true, certainly did not add to his credibility.
Yeah, as you just mentioned, the most incriminating piece of evidence against the Duke of York, the infamous photograph of him with what appears to be his arm around Giuffre, a photograph that was reportedly taken at the home of Epstein's girlfriend back in 2001. Here's what Prince Andrew had to say about that photo.
I have absolutely no memory of that photograph ever being taken. I have simply no recollection of a photograph ever being taken. I have no recollection of that photograph ever being taken. I don't recollect that photograph ever being taken.
So safe to say, no recollection. And later he seems to suggest it may have been photoshopped. Take a look.
I'm not entirely convinced that, that is what I would describe as me in that picture, but we can't be certain as to whether or not that's my hand on her, whatever it is, left side.
Michelle, what do you think of his denials here?
Yeah, this is one of the points in the interview when I think he really lost a lot of people and a lot of the public sentiment. He, suggesting that this photo was somehow doctored. He also mentioned in the interview that he wouldn't have been wearing his, what he called traveling clothes as he is in that photo.
Yeah.
Just sort of, seeming to cast doubt on the veracity of a picture that everyone's eyes, sort of don't deceive them. I think when he said it could be that that's not really my hand on whatever you call that, your left side, it just felt as if he were piling on the deflection and the denials in a way that strained credulity.
Now, I want to play the clip that probably has been making the most headlines here. Giuffre has claimed that one night she slept with Andrew after an evening with him at a London nightclub where she says he was sweating profusely. Andrew says that's impossible. Take a look.
I didn't sweat at the time because I had suffered what I would describe as an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at. and I simply, it was almost impossible for me to sweat.
Michelle, this has got to be the strangest part of the interview, am I right?
Yes, this moment in the interview made the most headlines, and I would say that it's because it just struck so many people as bizarre. People were recycling old photographs of Andrew, showing him apparently seemingly sweating, and wondering, how this would be, possible or logical. And again, I think one of the big sticking points here is that he gets in the weeds in these sort of, complex explanations for what, he says is the justification why these things couldn't possibly be true, these accusations made by Virginia Giuffre. But he never in this interview expresses any sympathy for Virginia or any of Epstein's victims.
Very true.
So again, I think that just did not sit well with many people.
So that said, overall, how do you think Andrew came across during this interview? Because word is the prince himself thought it went quite well.
Yes, the people involved in the interview afterward from the BBC reported that he seemed to feel pretty confident about it, that, he was relieved that he had finally addressed it. I think one of the moments that really did not do him any favors, so to speak, is when he states, do I regret that Epstein's behavior was unbecoming? And Emily Matlis, the BBC journalist doing the interview, responds, unbecoming, he was a sex offender. And I think that moment kind of capsulized some of the disconnect that Andrew seemed to have from the gravity of the situation, the gravity of Epstein's crimes. And I think that it really reflected that he seemed to be out of touch with the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you brought that moment up because I wanted to play that too.
Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming? Yes.
Unbecoming? He was a sex offender.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being polite, in the sense that he was a sex offender.
So it seems the general consensus here was that he was just really sort of tone deaf rather than coming across as empathetic to Epstein's victims, right?
Right. That was one of the big, I think, takeaways for many in the audience, many of the viewers watching this interview. And of course, the interview traveled around the world. And I think that the fallout from that is not something Andrew expected because, as you mentioned, he initially felt it had gone quite well.
Tell us about that fallout. What sort of fallout has he experienced since the interview aired?
Yeah, so initially we started to see some of the businesses and charities that are affiliated with Prince Andrew with his Pitch at the Palace program, in which he encourages entrepreneurs, UK entrepreneurs, to grow their businesses. We started to see some of those partnerships fall away. People, organizations and businesses dropping out of their associations with him. But Wednesday, we got the real bombshell, which was Prince Andrew announcing he would be stepping away from his royal work and essentially his royal life. He will no longer be executing royal duties. He will likely no longer have his more than 200 royal patronages. That hasn't been officially confirmed, but it would seem to be, something that could very well come down soon. And essentially walking away from the role, his role within the royal family.
Michelle, any word on how the royal family has reacted to the interview? I understand on Sunday, Andrew and the Queen attended church together. Is that correct?
That's correct. And, the Queen probably has the most famous stiff upper lip in the world. So she didn't really give any sign of what, any turmoil she may be in behind the scenes. And in fact, she was out again as the news of her son's so-called sort of abdication, as it were, was coming down, the fact that he was stepping away from royal life. She was out on a public engagement, and it was also her 72nd anniversary, wedding anniversary. And she was cool as could be, and certainly gave no hint of what kind of stress this is no doubt causing within the family.
Okay, Michelle, great tea as always. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Time for a quick break, but when we return, we'll be taking on a slightly lighter topic, royal fashion. Welcome back to the Royal Report. Joining us now is People Senior Style Editor Brittany Talarico, looking fab and fuzzy.
Fab and fuzzy.
Fab and fuzzy, looking very warm. I'm loving this look.
Yeah, I'm leaning into winter already.
I love it. We're so glad to have you here.
Thanks.
Now, as you know, Meghan had no public events this past week, but Kate, she came out to play. She came out to slay, didn't she?
She did. I love some Kate style moments.
Absolutely. So before we deep dive, let's recap her gorgeous looks. Kate stepped out last Friday for the opening of the Nook hospice in Norfolk in a magenta Oscar de la Renta skirt suit. The outfit is no longer available, unfortunately, but it retailed for almost $3,500. Kate was also out this past Monday for the annual Royal Variety performance. She stunned in a floor-length dress with intricate sheer black lace and a low scoop back. The gown is by Alexander McQueen. Brittany, two great looks that had everybody talking.
Everybody was talking about her, yes.
But let's talk about this beautiful magenta. I'm in love with it.
I love this color. I love seeing Kate in color. She's been wearing so much color. We just saw her in royal blue, and now this beautiful magenta color. It just like plays up her skin tone. Her hair looked amazing. She looks confident in color.
She does.
She just like, and to top it all off, it's a rewear.
It is. She didn't have to go far for it, right? Just her closet.
Exactly. She pulled right from her closet, which is so relatable, something she does so often. We actually first saw her wear this look in 2017, and then she brought it back in January of this year, and now we have it again.
And sadly, we can't buy it, even if we could afford it.
We can't buy it. This Oscar de la Renta is going to stay in Kate's closet for now. We can't get our hands on it, but I love how she styled it.
Yeah.
You know, she's always styled it with black tights, but she's changing up the accessories. She has these really fun Gianvito Rossi heels, a nice block heel, which is very comfortable to walk in.
Gorgeous.
Expensive heels, but she wears them a lot. She's getting a lot of wear. So they're almost $700 heels, but she wears them all the time. So cost per wear is pretty good.
Yeah.
And some beautiful black clutches. She had an Aspinall black bag with her this time. She looked great.
Yeah, she really did. These might be two of my favorite Kate looks of the year. I said it.
Of the year, that's a bold claim.
Of the year, I think so. I think so. Anyway, let's talk about the look for less. Okay, Brittany, 'tis the season, right? So you're going to take us through a couple of royal looks that you can take from the office to the holiday party seamlessly, because who's got time to get changed? I don't.
No one. We want stuff we can wear right from the desk to the dance floor, right?
We
want
do.
like easy transition
Day
pieces.
to play.
Day to play. I love that. So we've been seeing Kate and Meghan in so many just great outfits all year long, especially like recently. And these looks can be easily translated from their closet to your own wardrobe for a fraction of the price.
And you are the expert at that. So take us through. First up, we have Kate's outfit that she rocked to the Shout celebration. That was last week. Loved this one, the blazer look, the burgundy. Walk us through Kate's look.
Yeah, so Kate's look was great. It's this beautiful Smith blazer. It'll cost you $795.
Ooh,
of course, it's
pricey.
basically sold out everywhere, but a great check kind of plaid blazer is so hot right now. It's a really big trend, which kind of shows she's looking at the trends, right?
Yeah,
which
she's
I
on top of
love.
those
She
trends.
really is. And then a great pair of red trousers by Joseph. That'll cost you $515. So it keeps racking up the
Ouch.
price there. And then her favorite Gianvito Rossi block heels, those beautiful black heels, which are a staple for her and such a wearable accessory, right? Those shoes are great. I think
not too high, not too low,
Not too
right?
high, easy to walk in. This total look is over $2,005.
Ouch.
Ouch. That will hurt our bank accounts. Yes.
That
so we're
definitely
yeah.
hurts.
So
Okay, so you found the look for less.
I did.
Walk us through.
A fraction of the price.
Fraction.
So our look for less, a Gap blazer, this great Gap plaid blazer.
Wow.
$128.
No way.
100,
Seriously.
yep, right from Gap. Everyone loves the Gap, right?
It looks identical.
It looks identical. Kate had a little velvet on hers. This doesn't have velvet, but it's still fun and holiday. You can wear it with so many things in your closet. Just mix it up. You can wear it over a little black dress or wear it just like Kate did. I love it.
Jeans, however,
it's a
yeah,
staple.
casual or dressed
That's something
up,
that'll
right?
take you through all the seasons. So it's awesome to
And
have.
the pants, you got the burgundy pants.
Loft pants, $80.
That's it.
$80.
How, Brittany?
I
wow,
know.
You're amazing.
I'm a good shopper. It's part of my job to shop, right?
That whole look looks identical.
It looks
the model's
identical.
looking good in it. She's got the same pose going on.
Yep. And then the pumps from Lulu's, $33.
Wow.
Great
That's
stacked
such a
heel.
bargain.
Such a bargain. They're comfortable. You can walk around in them. The whole look, $241.
That's it.
Yep.
Versus.
From 2005 to 241.
That's amazing.
And it's a pretty good replicator look, I would say, for all the
to me, it looks
replicators out there.
identical. I would not be able to tell the difference. I seriously
and it's
wouldn't.
great. They're all pieces you can mix and match, wear a million times. That's what I love too. She's wearing all kinds of staples, and you can pair them together a lot of ways. So
nice job. Okay, so up next we have Meghan's look, gorgeous emerald green, the dress with the camel coat. She wore that at the World Child Awards last month. I remember this one. How could you forget? Take us through Meghan's look.
Great look, another rewear from Meghan. That beautiful Perot dress she wore for her engagement photos, which has been sold out forever. It's $480.
Oh, it's a little up there.
Yeah, it's a little up there. Topped with an amazing Centeler coat. She loves Centeler coats.
Yes.
Almost $1,800, $1,795 for that coat.
In my dreams.
Yep, a beautiful pair of Manolo Blahnik shoes for $625. My favorites, her favorites too. She wears those a lot. Again, she gets a lot of wear out of those shoes.
They're comfy, aren't they?
Yeah, they're comfy, and she is great in heels. Both of these royals, they stomp around in heels everywhere.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Like they're wearing flats.
Yes.
I don't know how they do it.
Yes, effortless. And then a really fun, different bag, a Montunis bag, very trendy, $485, sold out from Net-a-Porter. It was a really cool, different bag with that scarf handle.
Yeah, and was it tortoiseshell?
Tortoiseshell, like a box kind of clutch with that scarf handle. Very cool. Sold out. Total price on this look, $3,385.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
So that's some air tickets back and forth
budget.
from London, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about you recreating this look for less.
Yeah, and I love this look because that dress is such a great party dress, but you could put a coat over it and make it appropriate for the office, right? Yeah. So it's a great. This coat we found is from ASOS. $119. Looks almost
they have such bargains there.
Such bargains. It looks almost identical. You know, and you can drape it on your shoulders the way Meghan does. You can wear it as a proper coat. I love everything about it. A camel coat is a great staple for your wardrobe.
You have to have one.
You have to have one. You can wear it all the time. So for $119, you can't beat it.
That's amazing.
It's
and the dress.
The
emerald dress.
Another Lulu's find, $59.
Oh my goodness.
Great winter holiday color. Great for a holiday party.
Right now.
Yeah, I know. I need it's so
I need it in my life.
So easy to wear. Such a fun piece. So can't beat
And the
it.
shoes, I noticed you went for a slightly different color with the shoes.
A slightly different color.
But they look great, just as good.
Right, it matched so really well. And that's a neutral pump. Goes with everything. I almost love the color of this Ann Taylor pair for $128. It's very neutral. It looked really fun with the coat.
Yes, it did perfect.
Comfortable, great staple for especially like for the office, for anything really. So at a great price, fraction of the price.
Well, I am impressed. What is the price?
Yeah,
the full price.
The bag.
We've got to do the bag. Let's not forget the bag.
So the bag is a Lulu's bag, the same kind of tortoise shell box clutch, and a really easy styling hack. You take a scarf from your closet, tie it around the top of the clutch, and you've recreated Meghan's scarf bag.
That's what you did.
For $65.
Oh, that's genius.
Yep. So the whole
genius.
price of this outfit, $371, is less than the price of Meghan's clutch.
That is incredible.
So we did it all for less than the price of the bag.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
I am so impressed right now, Brittany. Well done. Two fabulous, fabulous.
Yeah, it was
very
really fun.
wearable
So
looks. Yeah, polished, professional, and ready to party.
Ready to party. Holiday season is here.
We'll have to do it again very soon.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Brittany.
Thanks
Always so much fun to hang out with you.
You too.
Now we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll be talking about a certain Netflix show that was released last Sunday. Wonder what that could be. Welcome back to the show. Joining us now is our favourite TV critic from Entertainment Weekly. Kristen Baldwin is with us. Kristen, how are you doing?
Great, thanks for having me.
Well, great to have you here, and you're about to help us break down The Crown. I'm sure everyone knows, last Sunday Netflix released the entire third season. But don't worry, today we're only talking about the premiere, so there will be no spoilers for episodes 2 through 10. Kristen, a lot to cover here. But first, I want to show a clip from the opening scene that has everybody talking. Take a look.
Everyone at the post office is delighted with the new profile, ma'am, which they feel to be an elegant reflection of Her Majesty's transition from young woman to
Old bet?
a mother of 4 and settled sovereign.
I thought this was so clever, the perfect way to start season 3, in my opinion,
Yes.
and make that transition from Claire Foy to Olivia Colman. What did you think?
I loved it because it was such a clever, it was realistic in that the stamp was updated at this time, and but it was also a great way to ease viewers into the idea of now you're going to be watching a new woman, Olivia Colman, who's incredible, Oscar winner, play the Queen, and she has her cadence, her voice.
She got it down perfectly, didn't she?
Yes.
And we also got a fantastic introduction to Helena Bonham Carter. We have a clip of this as Princess Margaret, of course. Let's take a look.
Good morning, Your Royal Highness.
Who are you?
I'm new.
I'm assuming New is not your name.
No.
Where's the other one? The fat one?
Oh, she left, ma'am.
She has quite the tongue on her, doesn't she?
Does. And it's such a great introduction to this era of Princess Margaret's life, where her marriage to Tony Snowden is starting to show some signs of wear and tear, and her hard partying lifestyle is getting in the way of a happy marriage.
How is Helena doing in this role?
She is incredible. Like, this is truly such a great role for her. Every minute that she's on screen, you just love it. Because she's still this figure that you root for, but here she's really, there's more humor, there's more bawdiness. This season, she and Snowden take a trip to America, and that has some amazing results.
Yes, I've seen that, but we won't go into that yet. A couple of episodes away.
Yes.
Okay, now I want to show one of my personal favourite scenes. A new Prime Minister is elected, Harold Wilson. He arrives at Buckingham Palace for his first official meeting with the Queen and gets a brief lesson in royal protocol. Take a look.
When you're announced, you bow from the neck. First time you see the Queen, you say Your Majesty. After that, it's ma'am. Rhymes with ham until you leave. Then it's Your Majesty again. Don't sit until Her Majesty does. Don't talk until she does. At the end, she'll buzz and I'll come and get you. Bow from the neck and walk back towards me.
A lot of rules and regulations right there. Why do we love this scene so much? He's a little awkward. It gets even more awkward when Wilson sits down with the Queen. And they have sort of a strange relationship at the beginning, very different to the Queen and Winston Churchill.
Certainly. This is, he's a Labour Party leader. First time in 13 years they were in power. And so, he's feeling a little nervous, not only because he doesn't know any of the protocol, but also because he's concerned that she believes that his party is sort of anti-monarchy, and so he's sort of defensive, and she is very much the Queen. It is my role not to have a preference. I am here to, do the will of the people, and so there is this.
Got to hold in those feelings.
Yes, there's an you could tell that she definitely has some preferences, but she's not going to say anything.
She's got some strong feelings, but she's going to keep it inside.
Yes, absolutely. But their relationship will evolve over the course of the season, and it's great.
Yeah, you actually start to like him a little bit.
Yeah, the actor Jason Watkins does a really good job. He presides over a very rocky time in the UK's history, and there's a lot for the Queen and for the Prime Minister to deal with.
Okay, we have another clip, the last clip that I want to play. Just might be the best scene of the entire episode. After a Russian spy is revealed to be living in Buckingham Palace, the head of MI5 decides it would save everyone a lot of international embarrassment if they just kept it a secret and let the spy, Sir Anthony Blunt, carry on in his job as the surveyor of the Queen's pictures. But the Queen does get to give him a piece of her mind through a coded speech given at a public event honouring him. Take a look.
I particularly enjoyed the portrait which turned out to have another person lurking beneath the surface. Well, I think I speak for everyone here when I say none of us will be able to trust or look at anything in the same way ever again.
I laughed out loud at that scene.
Yes.
So brilliant. Olivia Colman just nailed it, didn't she?
Yes, this is why you need an actress as sort of, subtle and nuanced as Olivia Colman to do this role, because obviously Queen Elizabeth cannot be very demonstrative in her her feelings or her thoughts, but she does so much here with just those few words.
The subtle shade.
Yes.
Said a whole lot.
Exactly. And this
Blunt was looking a little nervous, wasn't he?
This was one of those truth is strange, you can't believe that this really happened, but it did. And it's incredible.
So intriguing,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for being here and helping us break down the crown.
Happy to do it.
We appreciate it. Okay, we have to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll be talking about a special anniversary in the royal family. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. As we mentioned earlier, yesterday, November 20th, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip celebrated their 72nd wedding anniversary. And we are celebrating that mind-blowing number with a look back at their special day.
On the balcony where kings and queens have appeared unnumbered times on great occasions, the young couple happily share the supreme day of their lives with their countrymen.
Princess Elizabeth and Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, were married in 1947, just 2 years after the end of World War II.
When Princess Elizabeth and Philip got married, coming out of World War II, which was a time of such hardship, the whole country, really the whole world, was looking for a reason to celebrate, so it really kind of brought everyone together.
Elizabeth was 21 years old and next in line to the throne. Philip was a dashing 26-year-old Navy lieutenant with ties to the Greek and Danish royal families.
Elizabeth and Philip have a really sweet love story. They first met when Elizabeth was just 13 years old, and she was immediately smitten by Philip.
He was this dashing naval officer. It was very easy to see why Princess Elizabeth was so taken with him.
During the war, Philip went off to serve. The Queen kept in contact with Philip, and Philip would write letters to the Queen during this time. The connection was really cemented.
Then after the war, Philip came back and they started spending time together at Buckingham Palace, and soon after, Philip proposed.
And the Queen, in quite unusual manner of the time, said yes, without checking with her father, without checking with royal officials. And this kind of really typifies the strength of character that the Queen has.
But at her father's urging, she and Philip agreed to keep their engagement a secret for a full year until she turned 21. So it really was a sweet, romantic story, and they were very much in love.
On November 20th, 1947, a year and a half after the couple's secret engagement, Elizabeth and Philip were wed at historic Westminster Abbey.
And now the great hour arrives, and as the state coach with Elizabeth and the King is escorted to Westminster Abbey by the household of cavalry guards, a sovereign's escort.
Everyone was really excited for this wedding, and the footage is really incredible. To see 500,000 people lining the streets of London to watch Princess Elizabeth and her father, King George VI, ride in a royal carriage from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey.
The coach draws up at the west door, and His Majesty pauses to help the princess alight. There's a moment's delay, due, I imagine, to the 15-foot train of the princess's most beautiful wedding gown. Then, with her father, the royal bride enters for her marriage to the man of her choice.
Of course, this was a huge event, and there were 2,500 invited guests inside Westminster Abbey. And of those guests, 28 were members of European royalty, including 6 kings and 7 queens. So this was a really impressive turnout for such a historic occasion.
Here is seen the thrilling bridal gown of ivory satin, delicately embroidered in crystals and pearls.
Princess Elizabeth's dress was absolutely beautiful. It was a long-sleeved, ivory silk creation. It had 10,000 pearls sewn onto it and had a 15-foot train. It was actually inspired by a Botticelli painting called Primavera. And the central figure in the painting wears this beautiful white draped ivory gown, and it also had these roses affixed to it, and it really did look like the gown from the paintings.
It is a radiant bride-to-be, the loveliest the old abbey has ever looked upon. Elizabeth and Philip take their places on history's pages. To the stirring strains of Mendelssohn, they march as man and wife toward the west door amidst nearly 3,000 invited spectators.
At this time, this was really the most access the British public had ever had to a royal wedding, because it was the first to be broadcast over radio, and it really brought the British public into Westminster Abbey, even if they couldn't be there in person or even on the streets of London.
From the solemnity of the Abbey, the great pageant starts toward Buckingham Palace, the young couple now occupying the state coach.
And it was also the second wedding to be filmed, and though it wasn't broadcast live on television, since television wasn't really ubiquitous yet, but it was shown on newsreels later, so people really got to feel like they were there and feel like they were part of this celebration.
They proceed with a brilliantly uniformed mounted guards through throngs estimated at 2 million. In post-war England, everything is rationed except cheers, and the enthusiasm mounts to a new high. Thousands jam the square before Buckingham Palace, and the cry goes up, "We want Elizabeth."
There is a tradition of, after a royal wedding, that the royal family gather on the balcony of Buckingham Palace and meet the nation. And when this happened with Princess Elizabeth and Prince Philip, the crowds went wild. There was such a huge cheer, and it was a really great time of celebration.
3 generations of the royal family now appear, but it is the young bride and groom who really rule England this day.
Princess Elizabeth and Prince Philip's love story really meant a lot to the British people. And it was something that, wasn't about war, it wasn't about politics. This was just a young couple in love, and that was something to celebrate that had no ties to something that made them unhappy.
Elizabeth and Philip's wedding was the beginning of an incredible 70-year marriage, the longest in British royal history by 2 decades.
The first 5 years after their wedding were arguably the best of their lives. They lived a pretty quiet life, relatively speaking. Philip was in the Navy, and they spent time in Malta during his naval service, and they also welcomed 2 children, Prince Charles and Princess Anne. But then her father died in 1952 and made Elizabeth the Queen, something they weren't expecting to happen for several years to come. So suddenly they were forced to adapt and take on this whole new life full of royal duties and assume the position of being the face of a nation.
Prince Philip has been by her side through it all. They really have this epic love story, married for 7 years. They have 4 children, 8 grandchildren. They've had this really big family that's, full of love, and everyone's so close, and, it's a really sweet testament to their bond.
In the proud words of King George, our daughter has married the man she loves.
I just love seeing that old footage. When we return, we'll be looking at some more recent footage and photographs during our social media minute. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's now time for the social media minute.
Hi, Sharon. We saw a ton of posts from all the royal accounts this week, so narrowing them down was not easy. Cue Big Ben and start the clock. On Friday, Princess Eugenie posted the funniest photo of her younger self riding a horse. She pointed out how grown up her coat was for a child, and the amount of crying with laughter emojis in the comments confirmed how hysterical the photo truly was. Keep the throwback photos coming, and maybe next time, include a younger William and Harry. On Monday, the Clarence House Instagram page posted some behind-the-scenes moments of the Prince and Duchess's royal tour of New Zealand. The Prince personally presented a replacement of the Queen's color to the New Zealand Air Force. The original was presented by the Queen herself in 1953, and they included a pic of that too. How cool is it to see Charles following in his mother's footsteps almost 70 years later? Also on Monday, the royal family's Instagram page posted these flashback photos in honor of William and Kate attending the Royal Variety performance. The Queen has attended 39 times during her reign. My favorite is definitely her meeting the Spice Girls. And finally, the Kensington Royal page posted this adorable photo of Will and Kate's date night to the Royal Variety performance on Monday. It was 9 years ago this week that the couple announced their engagement, but photos of the two of them never get old. That's your social media minute for this week. Back to you, Sharon.
Thanks, Gillian. That was our social media correspondent, Gillian Fleischman. Fantastic work as always. Well, it's been another great week for Royal Watchers. I want to thank my adorable co-host, Lady Breadloaf. You can follow her on Insta at BreadloafCorgi. And she actually just turned 1 on Tuesday, so go DM her and wish her a happy birthday. And remember to follow us at People on Twitter to watch the latest episodes of The Royal Report, streaming every Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm Sharon Carpenter. Ta-ta, till next time.